Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. Hope you're doing well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, a lot has happened since Ashley Gonzalez got fired for doing a racist video. I don't know why anybody would do that. The outcome is always the same. You get fired. But people just maybe they think they're the one that will get away with it. I don't know. But it's so dumb. And now you got all of these people, and they're Latinos, coming on talking about they stand with her, they agree with her. Do you realize you doing a video like that, if you got an employer, especially if you work in a diverse place, you can lose your job too. Y'all aren't bright. Y'all aren't very bright people. You know, it is never good to put your racism on Front Street and you stand with Ashley. We all know what she said. And now you're willing to run the risk of your employers finding your video because all it takes is somebody, and you better pray it's not somebody you don't get along with on your job because they will really go and out your behind. Or it could be one of the white employees that don't like you Spanish speaking people around, and they'll take that to HR and get you fired. That's not a very wise thing to do, but hey, do you. That's the way I see it. Do you. All right, y'all. But you got to also consider they carry over a lot of this racist attitude from those South American countries they come out of, and Mexico, that they come out of. And, they can't turn it off just because they're here. They gonna just still walk around with the same racism. I'm not surprised. But one thing I am glad that our people did not go to the streets and help these folks out. I'm glad we made the decision to stay out of all these ICE protests because now that we are seeing the racism on display, hell no, I don't want to help people like this. Are you kidding me? I don't want to help them. So let me share my screen so we can get started. Okay, and keep in mind these are all Latinas and men and women. It's both, but it's very obvious. They're siding with her for very obvious reasons. And they're on here talking about, well, what she said is true. Well, there's a lot of negative things said about you Latinos. A lot. Okay. So don't try to act like there is nothing that we couldn't agree on that's negative about you. But you're pretty much sealing the deal on your judgment, especially if you got hatred towards the chosen people. You're pretty much sealing the deal for yourself. You want to be white? You want to be white, right? Okay, then you will get the white punishment in the end. Whatever they get, that's what you're going to get. And now that you put this out there, you can't even deny it because they'll put it right in your face. You remember this? Remember saying this? Do you remember? Because it will be put back. This is all going to come back and haunt y'all. All right. Thank you for the ones. Thank you. Thank you. Did I get one? Yeah, I did get ones. I'm sorry. All right.
I don't think Ashley Gonzalez deserved to lose her job.
Of course you don't.
I think it's fair that we live in a society where a certain culture of people can weaponize one word to destroy your life.
You mean like white people did with that exact same word to keep black people oppressed? Is that what you mean?
And they will push you into saying that word.
Oh, so you mean it's okay to be racist just as long as you're angry, huh?
Could you imagine being a female police officer?
Oh my God. Being a female police officer has nothing to do with it. Being a female has nothing to do with it.
That word comes from somewhere, okay?
Yeah, it's called a place of unjustified hate.
It would be kind of like if we were to say colonizer held just as much power as the N-word.
No, it does not. Being called a colonizer is nothing like being called the N-word. People don't call them a colonizer to keep them disenfranchised. They don't call them a colonizer to keep them oppressed. Because y'all are not oppressed.
Because when they say it with hatred.
No, they're saying it with anger and frustration because of how they're being treated.
Can you imagine if every Black person that said that word would lose their job?
No, because it is not a word of equal impact.
I don't think anyone should lose their job for a word at all. But
so, in other words, you think it's okay to be racist, huh? Look, some accountability has to be held here. I mean, the government doesn't want to make it illegal to say stuff like that. So the least they can do is allow companies to fire said employees for doing or saying stuff like that.
These people will get together and they'll call every organization and they'll stand out there until they get their way.
As well they should, because that's the right thing to do, to hold people accountable for saying stupid racist shit like that.
What those police officers go through on a daily basis and what they see every single day, I could only imagine. After a while, seeing the stereotypes, seeing that behavior every single day can push someone.
Yeah, that's not as common as you think. Because what it sounds like you're trying to say is that most Black people are guilty when they end up getting arrested and thrown in prison. When in actuality, the stats say that they should have never been arrested and charged in the first place. Because more than half of all exonerations are Black people. So yes, they are still being unjustly treated.
She wasn't saying this publicly. She was saying this in a private group chat with her friends, and she had one of her friends do this to her.
Then that friend was a good person for exposing her racist ass.
They should look at that. They should definitely look at that. It wasn't like she was just coming online saying that.
She shouldn't have been saying it at all. There's nothing that could justify anyone talking like that.
I just think that the Black community loves it. This is a joyous day.
Of course they love it. And it's not just the Black community, it's anybody who's not racist. Of course it's a joyous day when someone racist gets what they deserve.
When they can catch a professional person.
If she was such a professional, then she shouldn't have been talking like that.
Saying something that they find racist.
That they find racist? It was overtly racist. There's no possible way anyone can deny that that was racist.
And they will all pounce. They will pounce and go, look.
As well they should when they find somebody being racist.
They do nothing but call the Hispanic people and wetbacks and everything else.
How frequently do you really think that happens?
She sounds like the typical white supremacist. Everything is the fault of the Black person. If this Latina got in trouble, it's the Black person's fault. There was nobody from the Black community there when she went on her rant. And her friend was a good person for outing her. Yeah, she did the right thing. But as far as this loser is concerned, she's so dumb. She don't even make sense when she's just so busy trying to be racist that she doesn't care how she sounds. She sounds like an idiot. But at the end of the day, I hope somebody passes this if she got a job, I hope somebody passes this video on to her employer. She would get exactly what she deserves. But aren't you glad our people did not join them in protest in the street? Now that you're seeing the ones that agree with the racism from Ashley Gonzalez, and it's a lot of them. It's a lot of them. It's not just her. It's a lot of them that put this. I agree with Ashley Gonzalez. It's a lot of them that put these videos out, y'all. It's probably hundreds of them out there, if not thousands. And so we're not wrong when we say these folks are racist as hell. They are. All right, let's get back to it.
I'm Latino. I never had any black people call me that. And I grew up in Chicago, where there's a lot of black people and a lot of Latinos.
But nothing happens to them.
Too much happens to them. They're 7.5 times more likely to be wrongfully convicted of unaliving. They're 8 times more likely to be wrongfully convicted of grape. And you think that nothing happens to them?
And it reminds me of the black police officer that was up here on this app that I did a video about, talking about, I'm the one that your white woman fears.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Because a lot of white women will fear a black person with legal authority. Because that would mean that they don't have authority over said black person. That's why that statement was true.
What pisses me off is that white people won't come together and say, hey, take this black cop lady's job, the same as they're going to try to take Ashley Gonzalez's job.
Yeah, probably because the white people that would speak up about it are too busy not being racist. They're actually on the right side of history.
That woman doesn't deserve to lose her job.
She absolutely deserved to lose her job. And then some.
Because if she deserves to lose her job, everyone with colonizer in their mouth, everyone with and wet deserves to lose their damn job too.
No. Because those words do not have the same impact that the N-word does. And this is coming from another Latino. I mean, I don't like to be called those names, but I can honestly admit that those words are not as bad as calling a black person the N-word.
I stand with Ashley Gonzalez.
Yeah, you go ahead and stand with her, Karen. But don't be too surprised if someone pulls the rug out from underneath you.
For the simple fact, words are words.
That's easy for you to say when you're not the one being treated like they are.
I stand behind everything Ashley Gonzalez says 100%. It's a shame what they're doing to that woman. They know they're wrong. That woman has a reason for feeling how she felt, and that's not being addressed, and it's sickening.
Seeing a bunch of Latino creators talking about how she's not a representation.
I'm going to speak for myself, and I know I'm going to speak for a lot of my followers. And if you don't agree with me, you can go ahead and unfollow me, because what I'm about to tell you, you may like or you may not like. And frankly, I honestly don't care. I saw the video of the cop and oh my God, she doesn't represent me at all. But she does represent a lot of the colorism that exists within our community and that is not talked about. So like this creator said in his video, check your people so we don't have to. So that's what I'ma fucking do. It is so easy to Google search the history that Mexicans have with the Black community. Not only going back to slavery, but it doesn't hurt a little bit to learn about it. Now going back to the cop. Like, girl, have you not read a textbook or have you not Google searched what happened during slavery? Because let me tell you that it was not only slavery and it was not only racism. It was horrific shit way beyond that. Let me remind you that this didn't happen long ago. Just to put you an example, I'm gonna leave you Ruby Bridges' TikTok because this was the first little girl that went to an all-white school and she's still alive. How can you ask them to not be mad? How can you not be mad? And if you guys are not mad at all, you should. This hasn't always been their fight, and it should have never been only their fight. They still have to deal with the cop brutality. They still have to deal with medical negligence just because of their skin color. And it is beyond crazy that you are not mad that their children have to grow up with fearing cops. And I know that a lot of our people stood with them when Black Lives Matter, and now y'all are mad that they're not standing with us, that they left us alone. But I don't blame them. I honestly don't. And I don't think that this division between the people of color should exist. And it might sound ironic due to the fact that I am exposing Latino mega businesses, but it's not the same because they are the ones wanting to be white. Not us from this side. We still have morals, we still have values, and of course we still have fucking empathy because we're still human. So please, this is everyone's fight, whether you like it or not.
Of course you do, bro. Of course. Yeah, well, I thought this was you though, bro. Like twins. No bullshit.
Black people need to get over slavery. Black people need to get over racism. Racism doesn't exist anymore. That's how ignorant y'all sound when y'all say that stuff, because Ashley Gonzalez just proved that not only is racism alive and well, it's from people who look and have the same skin tone as us. And literally all we do is mind our business. Wake up, mind our business, walk in brilliance, move along, and then have the nerve to ask us why we need our own spaces. We need our own spaces because that's where we're safe. Just like when that woman harassed me about that one post that I made about all Black women and made a video to Black women. We need videos for us. We need communities for us. Why? Because we think that we can bond with other races. We try to be cordial with every race, but not everyone in every race cares about us. So Black spaces are definitely necessary. And it's really depressing that people are still ignorant and like low-minded, like really dumb, honestly. Like, to be racist in 2026, to be someone who hates someone simply because of their skin. Do you hear how ignorant? Oh, I don't like them. Why? Because they're Black. What? Okay. This morning I was like literally irritated when I saw that, because honey, the same people that you think will save you don't care about you at all. But the people that you say you hate before we realize that you hate us would have been the ones that come to your rescue. Think on that.
Ashley Gonzalez, the racist police officer from Texas, sadly does represent a very large part of the Latino Hispanic community. And I do want to preface this video by saying that I myself, I'm a Mexican woman and my husband is Black. And I've grown up around Mexican people my whole entire life. And I've noticed a pattern of Mexican people, and I'm only speaking on Mexican people now because that's what I know, are racist. And I think that this comes from wanting to be accepted so badly and wanting to feel like because they're a shade lighter than most Black people, that somehow they're better, that somehow, you know, they're part of the good ones. And don't get me wrong, racism exists everywhere and in Mexico too. But in Mexico, I think it's more of a classism issue as opposed to a race issue, but that's a whole nother video. And growing up around a lot of Mexican people my whole life, I have heard many, many, many anti-Black comments made by people that I know, people that think that I'm going to agree with them, and then they find out that I am married to a Black man, and then they're like, oh. And I know exactly where this stems from. This stems from colonization. This stems from engraving in our minds that Black is bad, that Black means that you're not equal. And that's something that happened during colonization. I'm not excusing the racism that exists in our community, but I understand where it comes from. And the moment that Hispanic people admit that they do deal with a lot of anti-Blackness is a moment that they're going to start to learn how to decolonize their minds and question as to why they have certain biases or as to why they believe in certain stereotypes, because to most of them it's just like clockwork. They don't even question it. And I'm not gonna lie, I had to catch myself. I was getting a little defensive in my mind when I was watching all these videos of Black people that obviously were very offended by what Ashley Gonzalez said, which as they should. But they were saying that that's why they don't give a fuck about what's going on with ICE, that's why they're not going to fight our fight, that's why they don't give a shit, that's why they voted the way that they did. So like all this back and forth, like racism, right? And I was like, okay, well, obviously that's not all of us. But then I took a step back and I'm like, okay, the people that are the most racist in our community are the fucking loudest, okay? And they're not held accountable by other people like myself as much as they should. So if that's how Black people feel, I don't blame them. Does it bother me that that's the perception they have of us? Yes, but at the same time, it's the truth. Mexican people are fucking racist. And don't believe the lie of minorities or other brown people can't be racist against other minorities, because we see it all the time. And all that, it just comes down to whiteness and wanting to be white and wanting to, you know, the way that we have been as a society made to feel like if we are not that, then there's something wrong with us. So I apologize on behalf of Ashley. I apologize on behalf of any Black person that has ever felt like Mexican or Hispanic people have been racist or discriminatory, because that's just bullshit. I'm sorry.
So it shouldn't be to anyone's surprise, but I support Ashley Gonzalez. Regardless of how you feel as a white American or a Black American, Latinos can say whatever we want. Black Americans and white Americans try to force us into their white versus Black mentality. They want us to subscribe.
Listen, first of all, we don't think about y'all at all. Whenever we have our issues with white people, we don't need to drag a Latino in the middle of it, because it has nothing to do with you. What's going on between us and white people goes back for centuries. All right. And we have never had any need to drag a Latino in when we aren't seeing eye to eye. And I have never seen white people drag in Latinos when we're not seeing eye to eye. So I don't know who's dragging this little rat looking dude here into anything. I don't even know anybody in either community that gives a shit about what he says. But for him to get on the video talking about we're dragging him in something, he's full of shit. We ain't dragging none of y'all in a goddamn thing. Let's go on. He first of all, he's very uninteresting. So who would want to drag him in anything? Please.
Subscribe to their social idealisms, and that includes their language. And quite frankly, I am refusing, as a Latino, I am refusing to bow down to their linguistic authority. Personally, I don't even care about Ashley Gonzalez herself. She is an individual. She can make her own decisions. If she wants to apologize, she can apologize. I, however, will never apologize. I am not going to apologize. I refuse to bow down to American bullshit when it comes to social standards, at least some of them. Like, if you're going to come at me and say or be upset because I said the N-word, I don't give a fuck. I truly don't give a fuck. So ultimately, I don't think that Black people or white people, especially Americans, have any right to tell any Latino or indigenous person how to speak on their own land. So
This ain't your damn land. You dumb turd. This ain't your land. What you mean? Speak whatever you want on your. This ain't your land. This ain't your land, buddy. That's why people that look like you are getting deported. Now, I don't know what he is, but this ain't your land. Let's just get that straight.
Para mí, no me importa, papá, porque soy Latino. I'm not one of you.
Man, this stuff gets more interesting every day. Now, this is the thing. Roland Martin and them would never run this kind of content. These Latinos all over the country, right? They do not rock with us. They claim that they're not racist, but they have anti-black racism and anti-black sentiments all throughout their culture. They've been getting called out by their own people. Everybody knows this. Now you have a bunch of people that's coming out saying that they stand with Ashley Hernandez, right? No matter how vicious and foul those words were, they make every excuse to stand with her. Now, could you imagine a black and brown coalition of these people in positions of power, how they already view you, right? Listen, these people got up here today and they said some stuff, man. We ain't even going, no more shenanigans. We're going to get right into it, man. We're going to get right into what these people, man, this thing is crazy, 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 crazy. Let's turn up the vibe. Let's go to work.
I don't think Ashley Gonzalez deserved to lose her job. I really don't. I think it's fair that we live in a society where a certain culture of people can weaponize one word to destroy your life. And they will push you into saying that word. Could you imagine?
She said a certain group of people can use one word to ruin your life where you shouldn't be using it at all. Then she said, we can push you into being racist. No, we can't push you into doing nothing. Either you're racist or you're not, right? But this is these people. This is who Roland Martin and your Democrats want you to align with. This is the mentality, right? Let's proceed.
Being a female police officer in Houston and seeing and dealing with what she deals with every single day. That word comes from somewhere, okay?
It comes from where?
It would be kind of like if we were to say colonizer held just as much power as the N-word. Because when they say it with hatred. It's hatred when they say that word. It's not prejudice. It is straight up racist when they call white people. Can you imagine?
Now, listen, you see how she going out of her way to defend the W? You see this, right? She going way out of her way to defend the W, but she.
And see, y'all, this proves right there, because I know a lot of people will say, oh, well, Hispanics got black in them. They got black in them. But you hear, she is only concerned about the white side. That's the only thing that's important to her. That's the only thing that's important. No, oh, they got black and this and that in them. Well, she obviously don't care about that. She's only defending her white side. That's all she's concerned about. All right. It's just like they are, they're so proud that they speak Spanish and they don't realize that was beat into them. That was beat into them. I mean, y'all never look around and say, why are we speaking this language? They beat that shit into y'all. But you're so proud to speak it. That is weird. That is weird. Y'all emphasize with your colonizer. See, with us, we don't. We don't. Not only do we hold the colonizer accountable, we hold their offspring who's still benefiting accountable too. That's why they can't stand us, and they're getting our history out of school. They're trying to take our stuff out of museums because they don't like being held accountable. But we don't care. We don't care. But see, people like her, she cares about how the white side of her feels. That's more important than anything. That's why she's online defending it. So some people are so badly colonized, they defend their colonizer, just like the Africans. The Africans will do the same thing. Oh, you got victim mentality. You always blame the white man. Africans do that mess. So y'all have learned to have sympathy for your colonizer. Us, on the other hand, we don't. Not like you. With y'all, it's very different. It's very different. I'm not saying none of us will have sympathy if something happens, but for the most part, we don't put their feelings on a pedestal, but y'all do. And I'm starting to see this a lot in you Latinos. You know, and the thing is, she's doing all this defending, and white people still are not going to accept you. They're still not going to accept her. And that's what she don't get. But they want it so bad. Oh, they want that white label so bad. They want it so bad. And this woman is a good prime example of that.
She got a lot of vitriol towards you. Now let me do this real quick. Let's be honest. What laws have we ever got passed to harm Mexicans or Latinos? When have we ever marched in the streets to get rights passed to force them out the country or hurt them? When we ever invade their country or hurt them? She has all this smoke for us. And honestly, Black Americans have never done nothing to nobody. Nobody. This thing, listen, man, I'm trying to tell you, these Democrats is, man, they flagrant, man. They crazy for this, man.
If every Black person that said that word would lose their job, could you imagine that? I don't think anyone should lose their job for a word at all. But these people will get together.
This woman, first of all, colonizer is not a slur. Nobody's going to lose their job over it because it's not a slur. This woman is an idiot. If she think colonizer and the N-word are the same or carry the same weight, she's nothing but a big idiot. She sounds like a fool.
Yeah, my comments talk about something. I stand with Ashley. I stand with Ashley. Duh. That was the point of the video. That's what I said. I said that you all stand with her. I said that it's a part of your culture. It's a part of your culture to hate the culture that you mimic. Duh. What are you saying? Sticky bangs? Bamboo earrings? What are you saying? Sticky bangs? What are you saying? We know. The point of my video was that you guys stand with Ashley. That's like the mindset. Not everybody, duh. But that's the mindset. We knew, we know, we got it, we get it. We get it, we get it, we get it. I stand with Ashley, I stand with Ashley. Now I could take it there. I could take it there. But you know what? I'm gonna keep it cute. I'm gonna keep it cute. I'm gonna keep it cute.
This Ashley Gonzalez situation has sparked some really weird commentary online that I'm seeing, particularly with the Latinos that say we stand with Ashley Gonzalez, or what happened to free speech. And since when did admitting to racial profiling and abusing a person just because of their race become free speech? I mean, yeah, it is free speech, but we also have the free right to issue you a punishment for said speech. I saw a really weird take from a Latino lady where she was like, Latinos in America need to unite because of this situation over the last like 2 or 3 days. Latinos have been being attacked online, and how, you know, this is really an eye opener to how they really feel about us. But it's like, what type of a reaction would you have been expecting from the Black community when you have somebody online talk, a police officer giving us the hard ER and saying that they racial profile us, and having people who are in agreement with what happened? What the hell would you expect? And then she has made another comment saying that Latinos don't need to be kissing Black people's ass or something like that. I guess for the people who are apologizing about the situation, we don't need to be kissing their ass. You know, we need to be focusing on ourselves. We don't need to be doing nothing for, you know, anybody else. And I think that she was basically trying to do a pushback on the people, on the Latinos who stepped up and said, you know, this doesn't represent us and we don't agree with Ashley Gonzalez or what she does, and addressing racism in the Latino community. I think her video was basically as a pushback against that. And so it's just giving me like really weird. That's a really weird victim position to take, given the fact that you're not the victim in this situation. Like, I have yet to ever see a Black cop admit to racial profiling online or go on a line online on a racist rant, but I've seen it happen plenty of times from other races against Black people, right? But I've never seen a Black cop do that. Black cops typically Black cops actually follow the law the way that it's supposed to be followed. You know, whatever feelings that they may have against a particular group, you wouldn't know it because they're not going to treat somebody differently or talk down, and they're damn not going to go online and admit to doing, you know, harm to somebody just because of their race or just period. It's just a lot of weird energy going back and forth with this whole situation. And I also believe that this is very eye-opening because it's kind of making me side-eye people. Like, I don't know. It's just weird.
Okay. First of all, we're not concerned about y'all pushing back on what we're saying. You know, even if you tried to protest it, y'all ain't gonna go nowhere. Y'all ain't getting nowhere with your protests. Your protests don't carry the same weight that our protests carry. So you knock yourself out protesting online. I doubt if anybody would even pay attention to your protest. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. So this is, no, it's not my final one. My final one is at 5:45, and we're going to talk about how gas prices jumped up overnight. And there are quite a few people in different locations saying it jumped up 50 cents overnight. 50 cents overnight in some locations. So there's a lot of people really upset and want Donald Trump to do something about it. And I got a video of them talking to Donald Trump, the press. And Donald Trump is so unconcerned that everybody got to pay higher gas prices. He is so unfazed. And you'll see when you hear him answer. He is so unfazed. He doesn't care what the people are going through at all. So, y'all have a wonderful afternoon, and I will see you at 5:45. Shalom, family.